Welcome. I'm Chituga Chinda, and we are discussing Chapter 2 of the Nigerian Constitution, that is, Fundamental Objectives and Directive Principles of State Policy. Last we discussed Section 13. Today we shall discuss Section 14. Recall earlier that I mentioned that in politics, the narrative is important, and that in guiding yourself by a narrative or choosing a narrative, you ought to take into consideration your interests. And I mentioned that your interest is covered by Chapter 2, that no new thing has to be imagined, really, to change our situation. That what exactly is required is mostly character change. Character change from the leadership, character change from the citizens, character change from the voters. You, the voter, change your character and change the outcome of the elections. Before I begin, I have seen a lot of militaristic hero worship going on online, especially with regards to the African continent. I understand that a lot of power play is going on, but I assure you, citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I assure you, my fellow citizens, that we are better off changing the government by our will, by working together, and not through the barrel of a gun. Having said that, I bring you Section 14 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it reads thus: The Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be a state based on the principles of democracy and social justice. You have a good guess what democracy is. There are principles that define democracy. Chief of them is majority decides who leads. You know, that is supposed to be the case, but we have an issue where the votes are rigged. We have an issue where results are written. We have an issue where people's participation is reduced into ceremonial affair. That has to change. It changes based on our character, how we approach the issues as people. But first, we shall delve into Chapter 14. So, the principles of democracy and social justice. Now, what is social justice? Social justice is the principle that opportunities, resources, and all that the state has to offer should be shared fairly, distributed fairly among citizens. That I should be given a fair opportunity, regardless of who my father is, that you are entitled to a fair opportunity to try your best, to show your skill, however you can prove yourself and add value to society, regardless of your background or where you are coming from, and that you be given a good opportunity to thrive, a fair opportunity to thrive, a level playing field. That these are the principles upon which the Nigerian government is supposedly built on, so says Section 14 of our law. Sub 2 of this same law states that it is hereby accordingly declared that sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria, from whom government, through this constitution, derives all its powers and authority. I think that is straightforward enough. There is no need to elaborate on it. Rather, I'd repeat it. Sovereignty belongs to the people of Nigeria. That is you. That is me. Every single one of us. From whom government, through the constitution, that is any government in power, big man, chief, this one, that one, derives its power through the constitution from you. There is a sub B. which reads, and this is where I always hammer what your interest is in the whole thing, that the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Note the use of the words shall and primary. I'll educate you on this. In law, when the word shall is used, it denotes compulsion. It means there is no option. I believe I have said this before, but for your sake, I repeat it because we are here to learn. And then the use of the word primary. So it reads, the security, that is your security, my security, and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. What does government exist for? Government exists for my security, for your security, for the security of your children, for the security of your neighborhood, for the security of your family members and their welfare. That is the purpose of government. That is the main purpose of government. Every other thing is an addition. So where government fails in this responsibility, that government is a failed government. Question for you before I continue. Is the current administration, I am referring to the presidency of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is it failed considering what the primary purpose of government is? Does it adequately secure property and lives? Is your welfare a primary consideration of this government and the execution of its policies? You know the answer to that. I would not want to suggest to you. I have very strong answers to that regard. But you are in a better position. You know what your income can afford you. You know how safe you are to go out by 12 a.m. So you know the answer to that question. It has a sub-C. All this is under subsection 2 of section 14. The sub-C is the participation, very important, the participation of the people in their government shall be ensured in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. Now there's this talk, you hear it in our politics a lot. It's the poison in our narrative, our political narrative. It's the poison that this is politics. Everybody justifies their lousy behavior, their nonchalant behavior, their careless behavior, their wickedness. They justify it by claiming that this is politics and this is how it works. If you don't like it, go home. Don't play politics. This goes against the principle of the Constitution, and if people who man the institutions of the state are professing such words, they are clearly in violation of the very law that gives them power. So no, don't go home, don't sit back, don't agree that politics is for the few. It is your right, and government ought to ensure that you are fully participating in politics. I spoke about political participation and the need to involve yourself with a political party. The need to be involved in the nomination process, in the selection of candidates, but more importantly, the need to be informed. Because you may have a sharp mind, a very capable mind, filled with nonsense, ignorant information, which leads you to become a weapon fashioned against our own well-being, your well-being. You see? So I take my time, I do us this favor. I give you provisions of chapter 2. Chapter 2, which ought to be your interest in any future elections or political discourse. Section 14 has is subsection 3. And I'll read it verbatim. The composition of the government of the Federation or any of its agencies and the conduct of its affairs shall be carried out in such a manner as to reflect the federal character of Nigeria and the need to promote national unity and also to command national loyalty, thereby ensuring that there shall be no predominance of persons from a few states or from a few ethnic or other sectional groups in that government or any of its agencies. You can think of a few agencies that violate this principle. It is rife in Nigerian government. The law is there, but it's being ignored. And this is the point that has been made or we are trying to make, and I am currently making, that amendment upon amendment upon amendment is palliative. It's plaster on a wound. It doesn't solve the problem because the law is implemented by the character of the person. And if the character of the person is wanting, the law will always be observed in breach. People will give way for their emotions and lose sight of the purpose and the importance of government. There is a subsection 4, which is the final subsection. It's similar to subsection 3 and relates to state government and local government as regards the ethnic demographic, how it should be represented in the governments of the states and local governments and its agencies. It basically repeats the federal character principle, but this time the local flavor of the particular society. So in our instance, we are speaking of Rivers State. Rivers State made up of 23 local governments with ethnic groups. Broadly, we call the Ijaws, Ikweres, Ogonis, Ahoda, Epeye, and the others. Broadly speaking, what subsection 4 of section 14 states is that the composition of the government of a state, a local government council, or any of the agencies of such government or council, and the conduct of the affairs of the government or council or such agencies shall be carried out in such a manner as to recognize the diversity of the people within its area of authority and the need to promote a sense of belonging and loyalty among all the people of the Federation. Mind you, our current political leaders are not ignorant of this law. They are not. They are well aware of it. The issue is, whose interest is it to make this the centerpiece of the political conversation? Remember the narrative. The narrative in politics is what drives the message. The narrative is in fact the politics. And if the narrative to you in politics is to talk about the players, oh, Wike, oh, Tinubu, oh, this, it does not solve our problem, because whether you prefer this person over this person has not stated what solutions should be fixed, what is required. You have seen here that your welfare and security is the utmost responsibility of government and its primary purpose. Do you want government to perform its primary purpose? Would you like to see a government that performs its primary purpose It is only you that can answer this question. I believe you do. You would like your welfare taken care of and wish to feel secure, a lot more secure than you currently are. Mind you, guns and bulletproof vehicles, while a few, perhaps you may be amongst those who can afford it, is not a guarantee of security. It is not. It's a fail-safe. It is not a guarantee of security. So government needs to establish its presence in the life of its people. That means your health care, that means your education, that means the economics of society, that means in the distribution of wealth, in the operation of government, that fair opportunity and the demography of the society is properly reflected, what we call federal character. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely Sunday ahead and be of good cheer. Once again, I am Chituga Chinda. Bye-bye.